Hello friends, today we will talk about aviation industry in India. This industry has two pillars, one on the passenger side and the other on the freight side. And we will talk about both of them and how they got impacted due to corona and whether they are able to bounce back or not. So talking about the first one, passenger travel segment. Now this is a story of growth. The sector was growing and then there is a rough landing in 2020 because of corona. So if you look at the passenger growth in India starting from 2013-14 to 2018-19, number of passengers grew from 169 million to 345 million. This is almost 15% annual growth over a period of 5 years. But what happened in March 2020 was the industry was suddenly hit by corona. And what you see in 2020-21 is from a passenger base of 341 million, number of passengers came down to 115 million. So that's almost 66% fall in one single year. It's a huge blow to the industry. So let's look at what was driving this growth and what happened when corona hit us. If you look at the time period of 2013-14 to 2018-19, international travel in India was growing at 8% and domestic travel was growing at 18%. So much of the growth in overall passenger travel was coming from domestic side. As the income grew and as travel became more and more affordable, people started using flights, and that is what caused domestic travel to grow. International travel in 2019-20 was accounting for only 20% of the total travel. And if you look at the next year, if you look at 2021, international travel further fell to 9%. So let's see, people started traveling post lifting of lockdown. As I put a comparison between passengers in million traveling in December 2019 and December 2020. What you see is on the international side, 6.6 million passengers traveled in December 2019 versus 1.4 million. So almost 80% less travel on the international side. If you look at the domestic side, against 25.3 million passengers traveling in December 19, the number of passengers came down to 14.4 million. So again, almost 43% less travelers. And on a total basis, number of passengers traveling came down by 50%. So even after 6 months of lifting of lockdowns, number of passengers traveling in India did not go up significantly. We had 50% less travelers than what we used to have before Corona time. And again, as you know, with second wave coming in, numbers for March, April, and May 21 also do not look good. So there is a very, very long road ahead for recovery for passenger travel in India. And it's going to take minimum 1.5 years for industry to go back to its earlier levels. So let's talk about cargo now, which seems to be a silver lining. In fact, it has helped many of the airlines to stay afloat. If you look at the overall growth of cargo in India, it has been growing at almost 9% year on year for 5 years from 2013-14 to 2018-19. And then, similar to what happened on the passenger travel side, even cargo was hit by corona in 2021. There was a 27% fall. That was predominantly because of lockdowns wherein flights were not operational. If we look at the growth rate of domestic and international cargo segment between 2013-14 and 18-19, both international cargo and domestic cargo, they were growing between 9 to 10%. So moderate growth in this particular segment of the industry. In terms of the split between international and domestic, international accounted for 60% of the total market segment in 1920, and this number has not changed significantly next year in 2020-21. International cargo accounts for 61% of the total segment and domestic accounts for 39%. So COVID impact was similar on both international and domestic, and therefore you do not see a big change. So let's also see the market revived in Q3 2020 post the lockdown. I have put December 2019 numbers and compared them with December 2020 numbers just to see if there was a revival. December 2019 is a period when there was no impact of corona, and December 2020 is post 6 months of lockdown. So if you see on the international side, the total tonnage was 12% less, and on the domestic side, it was 3% less. So what you see is domestic actually came back to pre-corona levels by December 2020. International was little behind in the month of December. The total cargo was 9% less. And what you can see is, at least from a freight perspective, from a cargo perspective, the market quickly bounced back with manufacturing happening, with supply chains coming back. So cargo market quickly bounced back, and that actually helped some of the airlines to survive. So in short, what you see is passenger travel, we still have way to go. Passenger travel, it's going to take almost a year and a half for it to come back to pre-corona levels. But in terms of freight, in terms of cargo, we were down in 2021, but chances are that in subsequent months, provided wave 2 subsides very quickly, freight market is something which is expected to come back. In the next episode, we will talk about current market share by airline, financial conditions of different airlines, and losses made by airlines in 2020, and how does the market look from an airline perspective in 21. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe for more such content. This video is made for educational purposes. Thank you. Jai Hind.